Hey guys, I'm so excited to start our next read aloud. It is the next book in the series of Love That Dog. It is called Hate That Cat. It is also by Sharon Creech. Um, and in this story, Jack is with Miss Stretchberry again for another year. So he continues his journey with poetry, and we learn a little bit more about his life through his poems. So I'm just going to start off by reading some of the poems that we want to keep in mind from the first book, starting with Love That Boy by Mr. Walter Dean Myers. Love that boy like a rabbit loves to run. I said, I love that boy like a rabbit loves to run. Love to call him in the morning. Love to call him, hey there, son. So remember, that poem really inspired Jack to write the poem, Love That Dog. So Love That Dog, inspired by Walter Dean Myers by Jack. Love that boy like a bird loves to fly. I said, I love that. Oh, I'm sorry. Messed up. Let me try it again. Love that dog like a bird loves to fly. I said, I love that dog like a bird loves to fly. Love to call him in the morning. Love to call him, hey there, sky. So you can write your own Love That poem if you want to. And here's another poem from Jack about Sky entitled My Yellow Dog. My yellow dog followed me everywhere. Every which way I turned, he was there, wagging his tail and slobber coming out of his mouth when he was smiling at me all the time, as if he was saying, thank you, thank you, thank you for choosing me. And jumping up on me, his shaggy, straggly paws on my chest, like he was trying to hug the insides right out of me. And when us kids were playing outside kicking the ball, he'd chase after it and push it with his nose, push, 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 and getting slobber all over the ball. But no one cared because he was such a funny dog, that dog Sky, that straggly, furry, smiling dog Sky. And I'd call him every morning, every evening. Hey there, Sky. All right, so those two, I'm going to stop there. And I'll start with his first poem of his new year. Jack, room 204, Miss Stretchberry. September 12th. I hate that cat like a dog hates a rat. I said I hate that cat like a dog hates a rat. Hate to see it in the morning. Hate to see that fat black cat. Woo! Jack has got some feelings about this cat in his life. And I noticed that he used the style of the poem from Walter Dean Myers to create a poem about this cat that he is not very fond of. September 13th. Sorry, I didn't know you liked cats. Didn't know you have one. So it sounds like his teacher has a cat, and she let him know that. September 14th. More poetry? You probably think we will remember what we learned last year, right? What if we don't remember? What if our brains shrunk? What if it's too hard? But I am glad you are my teacher again. I hope you will keep moving up a grade every year along with me. Sounds like he's still a little nervous about the poetry, right? I wonder if some of you can relate to him, where it's like you're starting to feel more comfortable, but you're still like, I'm not so sure. Oh, I missed a line. You understand my brain. Oh, that's sweet. He feels like his teacher really gets him, right? September 19th. No, I can't write any more about my dog Sky. Maybe all of the words about Sky flew out of my head last year. I think about him all the time, and I see him in my mind. And some of his yellow fur is still on my yellow chair, and sometimes I think I hear him. A rum, that sound he made when he was happy. But no, I can't write about Sky anymore. Maybe I could write about a cat, a mean cat, a crazy, mean, fat, black cat. Although my Uncle Bill, who is a teacher in a college, said those words I wrote about Sky were not poems. He said they were just words coming out of my head, and that a poem has to rhyme and have regular meter and symbols and metaphors and onomato something and a litter something. And I wanted to punch him. Do you guys agree with Jack's Uncle Bill that poetry has to rhyme? That it has to have symbols and metaphor and automata something and a litter something? Does it have to have that to be a poem? What makes a poem? Right? That's the question. Clearly, Jack was very upset, right? Because he was proud of his poems and his uncle did not make him feel very safe about sharing and writing them anymore. September 21st. Another thing Uncle Bill said was that my lines should be longer, like in real writing. But here's what happens when I try to make them longer. The page is too wide and the words get all mumbled jumbled and it makes my eyes hurt, all that white space, the edge of the page so far away. And in order to get all the words down that are coming out of my head, I have to forget the commas and the periods, or I have to go back and stick them in all over the place like this, which looks, if you ask me, stupid. But if you write short lines, a person knows where to breathe, short or long. And I hate to read those long lines, and I don't want to write them either. So it seems like actually poetry is a freeing form of writing for Jack because he doesn't have to worry about the commas and the periods. He could just write the lines how he wants them to be read, right? So that's a point of view to think about. Oh, that's a benefit of poetry. Do you agree with Uncle Bill? Does it have to be long lines, right? September 26th. I wish you would tell my Uncle Bill all those things you said today about our own rhymes and our own images, bouncing around in our words and making them poems. And yes, I understand that if I am ever the president of the United States, I might be expected to write very, very long lines. But in the meantime, I can make my lines short, short, short if I want to. Do you agree with him? Can he do that if he wants to? Even if you told my Uncle Bill all that stuff, he wouldn't believe you. He likes to argue. My mother likes my short lines. She runs her fingers down them and then taps her lips once, twice. And I think I understand what you said about automata something and a litter something, not having to be in a poem, and how sometimes they enrich a poem, but sometimes they can also make a poem sound purple. Purple. I'm wondering what he means by that they can make a poem sound purple. But I do think this is a great question. Like, does a poem have to have automatopoeia or alliteration? It sounds like the teacher says no. Sometimes it can enrich it, right? But sometimes if you're trying too hard to put it in there, then it doesn't sound really natural. I don't know why he said purple. Okay. Oh, I know why he said purple. I think it's alliteration. Okay. I will learn how to spell alliteration and onomatopoeia, right? And I will practice them just in case I ever need them to enrich something. Ready? I can't do it. Brain frozen. First, you need to have something to write about. You can't just alliterate and onomatopoeiate all over the place, can you? So I want to talk about these two words because we haven't really talked about it yet. Alliteration and onomatopoeia are two poetic devices that that you can use to create music in your poetry. And what alliteration is when you have the same sound over and over again that starts words. And I think that's why he said purple, because purple has that P, right? So if you said plain purple pocketbooks, I don't know, that would be alliteration because everything starts with P, right? So that is called alliteration. And I'm just going to, actually, I'm going to not share my screen. I'm going to share my screen really quickly, and I'm going to add that actually to our music and meaning chart here on our elements of poetry. You can use alliteration punctuation, right? And that would be, my example is going to be plain purple pocketbooks. I'm going to think of something better than pocketbooks to put on here, but for now, that's what I can think of. So I'll put that as my example. Plain purple pocketbooks, right? Another thing that he talks about there is onomatopoeia, and that's this idea of sounds, right? Where you include, and I always forget how to spell it too, but it looks like he spelled it correctly in here. So onomatopoeia. And that's where you include the way something sounds in your poetry. So you might write an example might be vroom for like the sound of a car. Okay. So those are two things that his teacher must be teaching him about. And that she's asking him to try. And he's like, I don't have to. And she's like, no, you don't have to. But you might want to try it because they might make your poem sound more interesting and have more music, right? So those are things that you could also try in your poetry if you want to enrich your poems. Last one, October 10th. Maybe not the last one. I felt like there were feathers in my brain when you brought out those objects and we practiced doing alliteration on them, like with the purple pickle and the polished pencil and the chocolate chalk. But the pickle was not purple and the pencil was not polished and the chalk was not chocolate. So my Uncle Bill would probably say, we are wrong, even though it is fun to imagine a purple pickle, a polished pencil, and chocolate chalk. Uncle Bill, man, he's really bringing me down here and kind of stopping Jack from being able to explore his creativity, right? October 12th. Something I am wondering, if you cannot hear, do words have no sounds in your head? Do you see a silent movie? I'm wondering why Jack is asking this question, right? But I do love how he created a poem just with a wondering of his, right? Something I am wondering, if you cannot hear, do words have no sounds in your head? Do you see a silent movie? So he's playing with spacing, right? And he created a poem just out of what he's wondering. And I know Jack, and he kind of, sometimes there's something in his poems or in the things he writes where there's like a hidden meaning of something in his life. So I want you to think about what that might be. All right. We'll pick up with more poems by Jack next time. Have a good afternoon.